Good morning, you guys. It is time for your health check. And as you know, it is Heart Health Month, February. Heart disease is still the #1 killer of Americans. And you may not think you fall into this category. You may not think that this happens to people like you until it really hits home. On December 7th, my cousin had a heart attack and died while walking to his mailbox. He was 67 years old. He'd occasionally go running, but he did have high blood pressure. He worked really hard and he dealt with a lot of stress. He had symptoms that I didn't know about until other people later described them to me. So this morning, I'd like to share with you 9 symptoms that can indicate that your heart is in distress. To keep it simple, let's cluster these 9 symptoms into 3 categories. First group, let's say you have pain, pressure, or discomfort in your chest, arm, jaw, or throat during daily activity, but then it goes away with rest. Then it happens again when you climb stairs, vanishes, then comes back when you vacuum. This pattern is worrisome. Dr. Daryl Kowalski with Medical City McKinney says it could indicate the heart may not be getting proper blood supply.
A lot of people start developing those symptoms when they're on a walk with their dog, or if their dog comes off the leash and runs away, and then they suddenly get those symptoms. They say, wow, so it's not always, and some of these patients who don't exercise are even at higher risk. So you have to be careful.
Dr. Kowalski says, sure, jaw pain and throat discomfort can be caused by dental problems, but if it comes and goes with exertion, it's worth looking into. Next group of symptoms, indigestion, heartburn, and gastrointestinal distress can all be red flags that something is wrong with your heart.
I've seen patients who've come in with these symptoms and have had true cardiac event.
For women who generally develop heart disease a decade later than men, it's not always clear-cut. We tend to blame symptoms on food choices, overeating, menstruation, menopause, when really, Dr. Kowalski says, if you're having these symptoms often and fall into a high-risk category, you need further testing to rule out heart problems for sure. Okay, final category of symptoms is a big one. Extreme fatigue, shortness of breath, nausea, dizziness, or feeling lightheaded.
Everybody gets dizzy every once in a while, as you know, but it can be serious. And I've recently had cases where that has been the case.
I know the symptoms sound vague and sometimes could be linked to something mild outside of the heart. But Dr. Kowalski says the smart thing to do is monitor the symptoms over time just to be certain. Look, we live in a time when wearable technology can give us real-time recordings of what's happening in our bodies.
We can monitor these patients for a month with a monitor that they can wear, shower with, and determine whether this event, let's say a dizziness, lightheadedness, was cardiac related.
Now, if any of those symptoms sound familiar to you and you're at high risk for heart disease, I want you to call a doctor today, please. Okay, let's go over who's high risk one more time. Anyone with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney disease, or, and this one's important, a family history of heart attack or stroke. Kara and Mark, your doctor will likely order some tests for you to check and see whether you have any blockages or problems with your blood supply. More often than not, they can fix the problem, right? Trust me, it is better to have peace of mind now than to wonder what if later.
Kara and I were talking about it this morning about how, sometimes you avoid going to the doctor, especially us men, because you think it's not a big deal. But look, at the end of the day, an hour and whatever your copay is could make a huge difference in your life expectancy and how that impacts your loved ones.
Yeah, I know you remember you telling me after your cousin had died that you were asking questions and you were like, oh my gosh, there were so many warning signs, but if you weren't really in tune to them, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, you have to be in tune, and you also have to put your ego aside. You can't say, well, I have to work and then I have to do this for the kids and I have to do that for whomever, because you're not going to be around to do that much longer if you don't take care of yourself first. So